I don't know if I know it. I haven't played it in a couple years, but I really wanted to play it this evening, so I'm going to try it and see what happens. Is that okay? Nobody said it was okay. Okay. Okay, thanks. Thank you. I'm an affirmation junkie. I need external validation all the time. I was hanging out with a friend of mine who's a pastor, and he was going through depression, and he was seeing a counselor. And my friend's name is Brian, and the counselor told him, Brian, here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine that there are two versions of yourself seated across from you. One side is the ideal Brian, okay? The Brian that you most want to be and that you know. And then over here is the not ideal Brian, okay? Over here's the golden boy Brian. Over here's the prodigal Brian. And I wonder what you'd have to say to them. What would you speak to them? And Brian was like, this is weird, but I'm paying him, so okay. And he started in on the ideal Brian, the golden boy, and was speaking, like, I'm proud of you for these accomplishments, a leader in your community, a husband, a father, all these things. And then it came time to talk with the prodigal Brian, and he was taken by surprise by the anger that immediately rose up in him. And he started to tear into him all these things. He's disappointed with him and shaming him, And he started to break down and crying by the end of it because he realized just how hard he was being on himself, just beating himself up. And he realized that this Brian, the prodigal Brian, all he wants in the whole world is to be this Brian. And he keeps failing, and he feels terrible, and then he gets beat up for it by himself, He gets kicked when he's down. And then he also began to realize that this is kind of more the real Brian anyway, This is kind of more of, It's like me. People think I'm more virtuous than I am because it's easy to be good and well-behaved for a couple hours on stage, and that there was something that wasn't as true about the golden boy, Brian. And he realized that he needed to forgive the prodigal. And man, we carry around so much self-loathing and disappointment in ourselves, and we beat ourselves up. But do we realize that we're beating up the very person, the very soul, the very heart that Jesus died for? That Jesus loved so much that he gave his life? Jesus didn't give his life for the golden boy. Jesus gave his life for the worst of us. So, I don't know. When you're feeling pretty like you don't like yourself very much, maybe you could borrow from the love of Jesus. This is a song about that. If I can remember it. If someone has bought the CD, Everything's Sad is Coming Untrue, open it up and be prepared to help me out with the lyric. There are two sides to every story, like the two sides of a dime. Heads or tails, it depends. Okay, there are two sides, not a good start, sorry. There are two sides to every story, like the two sides of a dime. Heads or tails, it depends upon who's watching at the time. Though I hate to say it, mine is no exception. One part is the prodigal, the other part deception. Like the prince and the pauper, like Jacob and his brother, each had a secret heart, each the shadow of the other. Me and my doppelganger both share the same blood. The one I have hated, the other have I loved. One of them's the golden boy, the man I'd like to be. I show him off in the parades for all the world to see. The other is much weaker, he stumbles all the time. the source of my embarrassment. He's the one I try to hide. Oh, 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 oh. The golden boy is made of straw, his finest suit will surely burn. His vice are the virtues that he never had to earn. The prodigal's been broken and emptied at the wishing well, but he's stronger for the breaking, with a story to tell. I'm not easy with confession, it's hard to tell the truth, but I favor the golden boy while the other I've abused. He takes it like a man, though he's longing like a child to be loved and forgiven and share the burden for a while. So take a good look in the mirror. Can you tell me what you see? The one that Jesus died for, or the one you'd rather be? Can you find it in your heart to have mercy on the one the Father loved so much that he gave his only Son? Oh, 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 oh. Thank you.